we're working through some of the sequencing or memory parts of the Pfaff Creative 4.5 sewing machine. So when you want to combine decorative stitches together or the lettering options, you're going to come all the way down to the sequencing area, this tab right here. And when you open it, you are going to notice that your screen is green. That kind of reminds you you're in another area of your machine. And whatever we touch, so for example, a decorative stitch, it will start to build in the sewing area. If you put something in you don't want, just touch the trash can and that will clear it out. Also too, if you had opened it and realized you had something in here, you don't know how many different ones, touch and hold the trash can. That's the indication with that little tiny corner arrow. If I hold it, I get another option such as delete all stitches, and then that check mark will allow it to clear instantly. So to go over to our alphabets, you'll notice they are in the alphabet section. And these are the ones that you sew out. Now I mention that because when we get to the embroidery side of this machine, you will be able to actually also embroider these alphabet choices along with other embroidery letters. These letters are going to be more like line stitching, which by the way embroiders out super fast. But then most of us are used to more of that satin stitch fonts for the embroidery side. But just note, you're going to see these when we go to the embroidery side. So for today, let's just pick one. You can have some fun with these. You'll get the alphabet completely up. You have uppercase, you have lowercase, you have all the different European symbols and punctuation and numbers as well. Now, if you are needing a space, look for that little kind of upside down staple part that would give us a space. So if we were going to be spelling something, we could do uppercase or lowercase. So I'm going to just do hello and then space sunshine, S-U-N. And you can see it just keeps adding to the screen. If I'm not sure if I spelled that all the way correctly, I can open this up and actually read it instead of tilting my head sideways. And here we go. Be my own spell check real quick here. Awesome. Now this is probably something that if you're going to stitch it, you probably only want to stitch it one time, but that would be something we can control once we start stitching it. So it is going to sew just like it shows on the screen. It does show us that our total length here is 123 millimeters. That's just over 4 inches. So I know that that should fit on my fabric. I do love using the start stop button when I stitch out everything here. It does recommend the 2A foot. We have some stabilizer recommended so you get a nice flat, not wrinkled, finished look here. This is a full 9 millimeter, but we could have set it for a narrower version as we go here too. So I'm going to just touch the thread snips. What that's going to do is finish the whole entire sequence down to the last E, and then cut the thread for us so I don't have to think about where to stop. Otherwise, it would have started again with the H. Now, if I did want it to stitch this over and over, all I could have done was put a space at the end of the E, and then that way it would have had a space before it started the repeat a second time. Here we go. Hello, sunshine. Here comes the cut, or the locking stitch, which I do like when I use the thread snips, and the cut and the lift. So look how big that is. You'll want to test out, obviously, what you're trying to stitch out. If it's a quilt label, is it big enough? If it's too big, do you have more information you're trying to write? If you are doing like a quilt label and you're going to come back and do multiple lines where you might have your name and then a date or who it's for, you'll probably want to stitch these out and kind of get an idea how big they are, and you could actually work on getting them centered by drawing a center line and working from there, measuring out so you know where to start. That's a little trick to play with. But these letters in here are amazing. If you do want to save it, go ahead and touch the little folder with the arrow pointing into it, and then touch the heart. This will open up kind of your personal menu, and then touch any blank space here. We'll go ahead and save it. I would recommend that you probably go into sequencing and touch and hold that trash can, and you can delete everything. If you just touch the trash can, you got to touch it for all the letters, but if you touch and hold it, you get a delete all stitches, confirming with the check mark, and then close that down. That kind of leaves that blank slate for later, and you can just choose a straight stitch, and you're back out of anything you had on the screen before. So where did we save it? We can go into the programming here, pick our 7th menu, which is our personal menu. I can see I've got HEL. That is our memory that we saved, and I can pull it up instantly.